Hello everyone, this is Arlene Carter, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the Reno, Nevada area. And today I have a card I want to show you using this stamp set called Country Home. It's a set of 14 sets. It's photopolymer, so it is clear, which makes it perfect for this type of stamp. And I'm also showcasing the designer series paper called Magic in the Night. This you would typically think of as just for Halloween, like as in October, but they're actually, because it's double-sided, you can actually use this for year-round, really. It is showcasing more of the regal colors, the richer colors that I think more of for fall, but you've got these beautiful designs here on one side. So there are a few, like you'll see some cobwebs here, and there's some spiders, for instance, on this one here. But then the flip side of it is really a lot of black and white. So in addition to having things like the bats and the spider webs, you also have some florals and just some patterns, such as this right here, and as well as the striping here too. So speaking of paper, let me go ahead and show you the cardstock that we'll be using for this card today. I have a piece of Blackberry Bliss. This comes from an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock that I've just cut in half and then scored in the middle. And then I also have a piece of white. This is Whisper White, as well as this is a piece from our designer series paper, the Magic in the Night. These are both cut at 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And then I also have a strip that is 5 inches by 3/4 inches here, as well as just a scrap piece. This is what we'll be stamping on. So just a piece of Whisper White cardstock, large enough to be able to, for you to stamp your image on. Again, don't worry about catching the measurements on the video because I will have them posted on my blog, which you will be able to link in the description box below. Starting with the piece of Whisper White cardstock, I have my Versamark ink pad, and I have the image of the picture from the stamp set. Just going to ink that up with my Versamark pad and stamp it down. The Versamark doesn't have per se any color to it, but you can see if you look closely at it, it just looks more of like an image, like a watermark type of image. So you can see from there, which you will need because the next stamp that I'm putting on, that I'll be stamping, is the image of, this is like a floral stamp. And that is going to go right above, so it will look like like the flowers are just coming out of this picture right here. Hopefully I got that straight. Okay, just like this. And then I'm going to be embossing on this. So this is where just takes your gold embossing powder. I'm using gold for this particular card, and have a piece of scrap paper here. And just don't worry about about getting too much poured on, because this excess just gets tapped off like that. And then what I like to do is just make sure that I pour it immediately back into the container, so that less chance of me spilling it. Say if you have that open container and you need to sneeze, it will be all over the place. Now we've got the powder on the Versamark pad. It's stuck to. The next thing that we need to do, and this is a very important part, is to emboss it. You need to heat set this. So I have my trusty embossing tool. This is a very, very old one. I think it's probably at least 20 years old when I was a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator the first round. And what you need to do is just apply some good heat to that, and then you will see it melt, and then it will stay on there permanently. And you can see I've got the stamped image. You can see where it has been embossed. Once it cools down, it's good to go. It's on there permanently. I do notice that I got a little bit lower. My image of the flowers, the floral image, is a little bit lower than what I would have liked it to have been. But you know what? That's okay. I'm just going to go with that. That's going to work. And with this strip, I've got the Blackberry Bliss ink. And I've got a saying that is in the stamp set. And I'm just stamping that right in the middle. I'm going to center that and stamp it down. And then I'm going to set this aside, and now it's time to color our image in. All right, I have 4 colors. I have the Blackberry Bliss, I have Old Olive, Cinnamon Cider, which is one of our new in colors, and then I also have Smoky Slate. And what I'm going to do with these stamp pads is I'm going to take the color straight from the stamp pad and I'm applying it onto the acrylic block. So since I have a square block and I have 4 colors, I'm just going to get approximately 1/4 of my acrylic block and just kind of apply that ink pad onto the acrylic block like that. You'll see it better with the other colors here. So this is Cinnamon Cider. Just going to take a little bit like that. And then I've got Old Olive. Again. And then Blackberry Bliss. And I know for this particular card, I don't need a lot of the Blackberry Bliss, so that corner is just okay. Now we've got some of the aqua painters that are in the catalog. The particular one I'm using is last year's, so it looks a little different, but they still work the same. The one in the catalog that we have now has different, the tips on them are different. So you have variety, so which is good. Okay, so if you're familiar with it, or if you're not familiar with these aqua painters, there's a little well here that holds the water, and then the water will come out onto the tip, and this is like a paintbrush, and so the water just flows out. So the one thing that you'll notice sometimes there's too much water, it comes down here too quickly. So I always like to have just a this is what I have. It's just like a little damp sponge. That's what I actually use to clean my stamps with. And I just like to brush that off. You'll also need to be doing that when you want to clean your brush for in between your colors, when you change your colors. Okay. Now using this, it's basically like your paint palette. These are all the different colors you have. So starting with that gray, just take a little bit here. And I know that I'm just going to go start where I want more of the gray color to be. And then just keep working up. You see I got a little bit of that green. Okay, so then I just clean my little tip of the brush off. And it cleaned right up. Make sure that I stay on my corner of the gray side. Okay. It's not the dark side, it's the gray side. And don't forget that little spout right here, the pour spout. Okay, all right. And then I'm just going to continue on. So we've got the leaves here, and this is in the Old Olive. And color in those leaves. Like this. Now this image is like a little flower right there in the middle, so I'm not going to color that. I'll save that for a different color. I will tell you though that the first time I did this, I colored that in green. It's easy to kind of get them, you know, you'll see different, the images may look like, oh, this is a leaf, or, you know, this is a flower. So just experiment. And by embossing, what the embossing does, as well as look really cool, and it embosses your image, it also helps when you're watercoloring and things like this, it helps that watercolor to stay in the lines per se. So sometimes if you don't have that and you just have just an ink, like say the Memento ink, it will tend to bleed a little bit more. So this helps too with watercolor paper as well. Okay, so again, I've got that green. Just quickly go and color the leaves here. And then clean my brush. And I'm going to take that Cinnamon Cider and color right in here. that color up again. Color there. Okay, last color is that Blackberry Bliss. I like to color these little berries in here. And you see how this color just carries. You don't have to keep adding more color. Just go with, once you see that your brush needs to you need to pick up more color, then you do it. And then we're going to color this flower in. And you notice, if you can see this, that's the embossing acts as a resist. See that? So when you're coloring it over. So, okay. And there is our colored image. Now the next thing that I want to do is cut this out. This is going to be cut out using the oval from the Stitched Shapes die cut set. So I will cut that out and then we will continue on with our card. All right, got that cut out. So it's a nice oval right there. And then I'm going to bring in the card base, which is the Blackberry Bliss, and probably need a bone folder, right? Let's get that, give that a good crease. Bone folder is always better to give it a good crease than your finger. Okay, and then I've got my layer here. I'll bring that in, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere that onto my card base using the Stampin' seal. Okay, and then we have this. Glue that on. Okay. Now, we've got our saying that I've stamped on my strip of Whisper White cardstock, and what I'm going to do is take the lovely labels, pick a punch, and it is, because it is 3/4 inches, I'm just going to set that in here, turn it over just to make sure that I have it straight and centered. Trim that and then turn it around. And do the same thing on the opposite end. Okay. And then I want to just trim this off. So it's going to be trimmed just a little bit past the left side of the stamp sentiment. Okay. Same thing here. And then I've got some Stampin' Dimensionals. So I'm going to flip my sentiment over and put one Stampin' Dimensional on each end. And then attach it to the end that you just trimmed off, like that. And this will do the same thing on the opposite end. Okay. And then we'll take some Stampin' Seal again. And attach that to the bottom there. So you've got, it looks like a 3D banner. See that? All right, and then on the inside, the last thing that you have is your piece of Whisper White cardstock. And I think I'm going to take the Pretty Peacock. We'll use this color, and as well as the same floral stamp that I used for the front of the card. Ink that up. Let's get some of that scrap paper here. And I'm just going to stamp it down below here, and maybe I'll do another one right here. Okay, there we go. I'll flip this over, put some glue on. And I'm going to leave it blank so that I can write a personal note in there. Okay. All right. One more thing that we can add, and that is with some of the linen thread. I have doubled it up, And then I tied a bow here. And with a mini glue dot, we'll attach it. I love mini glue dots. How about you guys? What's your favorite go-to, like your must-have that you need to have when you stamp or paper craft? I love glue dots. Okay, and probably my stitched shapes die cuts. I think I use those more than anything. But anyway, there you go. There's your card. It's been embossed. You can see that. Some embossing going on here. We've got just the Blackberry Bliss ink right here we used, but we also colored like a watercolor look with our ink pads. And then open it up and you've got, using just one stamp set, we went ahead and I stamped a couple of them here. Okay, and this again is using the Country Home stamp set. So I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know. I love to hear from you. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video and you'd like to see more. Please subscribe. Have a great day. Bye.